I'm Helen Hawksworth. I'm a social worker and I'm a training consultant with Africa Nghymru, the Association of Fostering, Kinship and Adoption. And we provide training and consultancy across the permanency sector in Wales. So the National Adoption Service commissioned us to develop a series of e-modules and webinars about modern adoption practice in Wales and its role in care planning for children. This has included pre- and post-qualifying modules, and this module in particular is for childcare practitioners who are involved in care planning for children. It is complemented by a series of webinars that we are delivering in autumn 2023, so keep a lookout for those and we hope to see some of you there. This presentation will last about an hour, but obviously there's opportunities for you to pause at any point along the way. So in this module, we'll be thinking about how adoption has changed and how we've had to shift from outdated and sometimes entrenched attitudes to fully understand and embrace what adoption means in today's Wales and its place in permanency planning for some children. We'll be thinking about the lifelong implications for all those involved in the adoption triangle, obviously the child, the adopted parents and the birth family. We'll be thinking about the different permanence options for children and how care planning has changed over the last 10 years. And we'll be thinking about what we are trying to achieve for children, how we always need to start and end with the child if we're going to get it right for them. Always thinking about this little one in front of us now, but also them in 5, 10, 25 years' time, and being able to justify the decisions that we've made on their behalf. And we'll be starting to think about how we get these decisions right, how we think about and analyse in terms of welfare, necessity and proportionality, drawing on our knowledge of child development and attachment, trauma and recovery. This is very much about showing your workings out, using that balance sheet approach to demonstrate to the court what the best decision is for the child now, tomorrow, and for their lifetime. And hopefully many of you will already be familiar with the National Adoption Service Good Practice Guides that were designed to support your decision making. We'll have a little look at those as well. Historically, adoption used to be about finding children for people who could not have their own children. So the focus was on the adults really. But over the years, the concept and legislation of adoption, as well as the practice, has changed considerably. It's now about finding families for children who need a permanent alternative family for life, often the most vulnerable children in our society who've experienced significant pre- and post-birth developmental trauma, which affect all aspects of their development, their inner working model, their attachment patterns. And whereas there used to be a complete severance of any form of contact between a child and their family of origin and no real understanding of a child's needs for information and understanding about their identity, it was very much an off with the old and on with the new arrangement, which we know now is hugely damaging for them and does nothing to strengthen the adoptive family or help birth families move forward. Adoption in today's Wales is very different to that. It now fully acknowledges the need for clear and coherent information to be shared with every child in an age-appropriate way about their family of origin and the reasons why they weren't able to stay with them, which not only helps a child understand their past and gives them a coherent sense of their history, it also takes the blame away from the child and enriches their personal view of themselves. As practitioners, we always need to be thinking about family, relationships, loss and identity rather than that social work term contact, and about how we practice in a way that is right for the child now but also as they mature, that helps them develop a coherent sense of their identity as an adopted person and respects all those multiple relationships that are important to them. This includes us providing opportunities for the adults involved to meet each other, the prospective adopters and the birth parents, to develop empathy for each other and a relationship based on a shared commitment about what is right for the child. We know that meeting each other and understanding each other's perspectives really sets a positive foundation for future arrangements. So today's practice in Wales promotes keeping in touch with family members, if it's in the child's best interests, obviously, with parents, with brothers and sisters, with grandparents, or any other important people for the child in a variety of ways. We're thinking more about direct contact arrangements than we have done previously, alongside indirect and digital options. And we are actively reviewing these arrangements as the child develops and as their needs change. We will always do our best to keep brothers and sisters together if this is right for them. And this is a key priority when recruiting and assessing prospective adopters. We know how important these sibling relationships are, not only in terms of them probably being the longest biological connection a child is likely to have, but also the enormous value they bring in terms of shared experience, mutual support and belonging. We are recruiting people in Wales who can provide stability to children who are older and might have had multiple moves in foster care. People who are empathic and able to accept their intrinsic connection with their child's family through their relationship with their child. We're also recruiting people who are willing to become early permanence carers whilst the court is making their decision about a child's final care plan. And we'll be talking more about Welsh early permanence a bit later. Adoptive parents are prepared and assessed not only to ensure that they can provide safety and stability, incorporating all that learning that we know from serious case and child practice reviews, but also to ensure that they can provide the kind of parenting that a child who has suffered developmental trauma needs. Parenting that helps them recover, essentially. The adoption regions and voluntary adoption agencies recognise that adoption support is a normative part of the adoption process, the lifelong journey of families, and all the complexities that adoption brings. And in Wales, we are continuing to develop adoption policy and practice in order to support everyone in that adoption triangle. So I just wanted to mention a bit about the historical context. So initially speaking at the Adoption UK Big Adoption Conversation event in January 2023, Julie Morgan, the Deputy Minister for Social Services, made a personal apology to those affected by the historical practice of forced adoption in the 1950s, 60s and 70s, and the lasting legacy on all those who experienced them. And then in April 2023, the Deputy Minister invited some of those affected to meet with her in the Senedd, where she issued an apology on behalf of the Welsh Government for the societal failures that led to those historical practices. Historical practices that resulted in many women being coerced into giving up their babies as they were judged by the morality of the society of that time. So these apologies came after the Joint Committee on Human Rights published its recommendations following an inquiry to understand the experiences of unmarried women whose children were adopted between 1949 and 1976 in England and Wales. And the Deputy Minister acknowledged that whilst they cannot change what has happened, they really do welcome the inquiry's recommendations and provided assurances that adoption legislation and practice have been significantly strengthened since that time. She also provided assurances that the Welsh Government are working closely with the National Adoption Service to consider the issues outlined within the Joint Committee's report and to develop support services which address the specific needs of those affected by forced adoption and forced family separation. One of the key strengths of the National Adoption Service is multidisciplinary collaboration, bringing organisations in Wales who have contact with and an interest in adopted children and their families together to work in partnership. And one of the strategic roles of the National Adoption Service is to support the ongoing development of good practice and to develop national frameworks that support modern adoption practice and which helps ensure consistency across Wales. In 2019, NAS commissioned AFCA Cymru to develop good practice guides in a number of key areas: contact, transitions and early support, working with birth parents, and adoption support as part of that ongoing commitment to development. These were co-produced with colleagues across the sector and draw on research and evidence-based practice from within Wales, as well as the rest of the UK and internationally. So have a look at these guides when you get a chance, if you're not already familiar with them. We've also developed a number of additional resources to accompany the guides, including the Trauma Nurture Timeline and Resource Book, and All Wales templates for contact and adoption support. And then we have the Life Journey Work Framework, which sets out the different stages when this life journey work is done, and guidance for practitioners working with foster carers, with adoptive parents and the birth family. We have the Adoption Support Framework and Adoption Support Commitment, which ensures that all adoptive families, adopted children and young people, wherever they live in Wales, can access a range of support services. For many, these will be generic ones, with an emphasis on early support to preempt and hopefully prevent serious injury later on. But for some families, a more targeted approach is needed to address specific needs such as attachment difficulties or maybe the impact of early trauma, life journey work, etc. And for some adopted children, young people and their families, there will be a need at certain points to access more specialist support. For example, tackling issues related to fetal alcohol exposure, maybe sensory integration problems, or child-on-parent violence. And we've developed the Welsh Early Permanence Framework recently. And the core principles of that is to provide the child with a secure base as early as possible, when days and weeks really do matter, and when we can minimise unnecessary moves that inevitably cause further trauma for the child. This practice has been happening in other areas of the UK for some time now, and we now have it in place in Wales, which is fabulous for Welsh children. So when you get a chance, have a look at that Welsh Early Permanence Framework on the NAS website. And there's ongoing and continuous development of services and practice in Wales. So what are we trying to achieve for children? Well, achieving permanence for children is an underpinning principle of the legislative framework in Wales and of all social work practice with children and families. It's a key consideration from the time a child becomes looked after, and the Part 6 Care and Support Plan of the Social Services and Wellbeing Act should set out a child's plan for permanence and how this is to be achieved by the second review following removal from their parents' care. So we're talking about emotional permanence, that opportunity to develop healthy attachment patterns with sensitive and attuned and responsive caregivers. We're talking about physical permanence, that stability and safety that the child needs, where their core physiological needs are met. And we're talking about legal permanence, essentially who will hold parental responsibility for the child and make decisions for them now and as they mature. Together, these give a child a sense of security and continuity, commitment and identity through their childhood and for their lifetime. And again, as I said, we always need to be thinking as social workers of this little one in front of us, who may be a baby or a very young child, and what their needs are now, but also in the future. And so our care planning for them needs to be robust and informed. It obviously needs to be child-centred to ensure that each child's individual needs are met, that they have that security and stability, that emotional warmth and acceptance, continuity and commitment throughout their childhood and beyond, to help them make sense of who they are and what is happening, to be able to grow and thrive, in order to have a healthy and positive view of themselves, of others, and the world that they live in order to become active participants in society as they mature. For some children, permanence can be achieved through successful return to their family, where it has been possible to address the factors in family life which led to the child becoming looked after. And this is obviously achieved through rigorous assessment of the child's needs, of any risk and protective factors, of the parent's capacity to meet the child's needs and what support they'll need to do so, how this support is going to be delivered, and obviously their parents' capacity to change. For other children, routes to permanence might include care provided by family and friends, particularly when such care is supported by legal orders such as a child arrangement or SGO. And for a small number of children who are unable to live with their parents or wider family, adoption offers a lifelong and legally permanent new family. Another route to permanence, particularly for older children, is long-term fostering or residential commitments. And I just wanted to mention here some recent research that has been done by Jim Clifford in 2022, which is particularly relevant in the current climate we find ourselves in. And what he said in his report is long-term fostering, whilst permanent in terms of planning, is unlikely to offer as many aspects of stability that a child needs for permanence when compared with adoption or an SGO. Indeed, the indications are that many foster children move quite quickly from one foster home to another. Foster carers often change at regular intervals, have holidays and other periods without a child, and offer no certainty of commitment to the child from year to year, let alone beyond the age of 18. And Jim Clifford said, this does not make fostering not valuable, but the boundaries on what it delivers in terms of permanence need to be openly acknowledged. Now, adoption is arguably one of the most drastic of family interventions, as it severs a child's legal ties to their birth family permanently. The decision to pursue adoption, therefore, is one of the most complex of the social worker's role. And we recognise as practitioners that birth parents are often struggling with the impact of the same early trauma we see in their children, with many complicating factors like unmet mental health needs, domestic violence, and in some cases parents who might be care leavers themselves. And we would always, as practitioners, want to see that better balance between support and assessment. Now, balancing the needs of the child and the parents is complex. And as social workers, we and the courts are rightly prioritising the needs of the child in striving to protect them and keep them safe, in making decisions to ensure that they can grow up in a family that nurtures them and helps them grow in every sense of the word. Adoption legislation is clear. The children are adopted only if the court decides that adoption is in their best interests, or if the parents have properly relinquished their child. Adoption is considered for children when other options have been fully explored. And services work on the clear principle that every effort and support should be provided with the aim to help families to stay together wherever that is possible. Where this is not possible, however, when a child cannot remain in their wider family or safely return home from care, adoption provides legal security, it provides love and belonging in a family. It is the only option for some children and has lifelong implications for all those involved. So we need to ensure that any permanent alternative families for children are the right ones, not just for now, but for their lifetime. They need to be able to respond in a way that provides opportunity for developmental recovery and be willing to respect and accept a child's identity in multiple relationships, to support them now and as they mature. And adoption works when the right support is provided for all those in the adoption triangle: the child, the adoptive parents, and the birth family. So what do we mean by properly relinquished? Well, practitioners should always refer to the Good Practice Guide for Adoption Agencies in Cafgas Cymru for children relinquished for adoption. But some of the key considerations that we need to be thinking about is: how long have the local authority been aware of the parents' plans to relinquish? Has there been sufficient opportunity for the mother or for both parents to have counselling prior to and following birth? Have they had sufficient opportunity to get a full understanding of the parent's story and their decision to relinquish the child? Obviously, the more notice the local authority has pre-birth, the more opportunity there is to work with and counsel the parents and the family so that they understand the implications for them and for the child. Do we know who the father is? If information about the father or other family members is not shared or permission is not given to contact them, we'll need to make a decision about whether to seek direction from the court and whether contact should be made against the mother's wishes. There is case law that is clear that the mother's right in this regard does not override the child's. The paternity needs to be explored unless particular circumstances dictate the need for confidentiality. Are there viable family members able to care for the child? So we always need to be thinking about these things, and we always need to be considering the parents may well want to meet the carers to know that their child will be safe and well cared for, but there are also instances we know when they will refuse contact. So how do we incorporate that into our planning and thinking for the child? So this is a very broad overview of the care planning process that you'll be very familiar with. And obviously you'll be working closely with your legal advisors regarding timescales and expectations, etc. So I just want to mention a few things here. January 2023 saw the relaunch of the PLO, the Public Law Outline, with the president of the family division, so Andrew McFarlane, expressing his hope of completing all proceedings within that 26-week time frame to reduce the number of hearings and what he said to make each hearing count. With the revised PLO process, the court is taking a far more robust approach to identifying realistic options at an early stage in proceedings. Very much a focus on front-loading work. So the provision of support, the identification and assessment of viable family members at a very early point, which fits in, when you think about it, with the principle of avoiding delay in achieving permanence, in avoiding unnecessary moves for the child, which we know is so harmful for them, and the key influential factors in disruption risk. We always want to preempt and prevent the need for care proceedings if we can, and there is clear direction within legislation that endorses this. However, if safeguarding issues continue, we obviously need to act to protect the child's welfare and well-being. If care proceedings are initiated, i.e., the pre-proceedings hasn't identified realistic options, or we have an emergency situation like an NAI happen, from the start, we need to be thinking about multi-track planning for permanence. And this includes all possible options we identified earlier, as well as Welsh early permanence if there is a high possibility of adoption. And we'll look at that in a minute. There's obviously a series of hearings, the case management hearing, the issues resolution hearing, and obviously the final hearing at week 26 before the child's final care plan is agreed. The court will always consider reunification with parents, and if this is not possible, then look at what the other realistic options are. This is not about a competition between who can provide the best care for the child, but it is about getting it right for them, not just in the here and now, but for the future. It's that balance sheet exercise where you are showing your workings out, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then recommend with clear evidence what is the right option for this child. And if the final care plan is for adoption, an application for a placement order is made. Now, if there is a high possibility of adoption, for example, if you know a lot about the family, or if maybe an older sibling has been adopted, Welsh early permanence will be part of multi-track planning discussions. And this slide here shows a simple depiction of what this means for children. So obviously children who've been removed from their family need stability, and they need that safe and permanent home as soon as possible. That permanence might be back with family or with wider family members, or that permanence might be with an adoptive family. What Welsh early permanence is about placing a child with people who are duly approved as foster carers and adopters as soon as possible. And if, and only if, the court decides that the child should be adopted, they don't have to move. And this significantly reduces stress and trauma for the child. There is nothing in the Welsh early permanence framework that preempts the court decision, that impinges on the family's right to a fair trial, or confers any special status on the WEP carers. It's not about whether the child's family or the WEP carers are better able to look after the child. If rehabilitation to parents is possible, it will always be considered, as will family and friends. And obviously WEP carers are not involved in court proceedings. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a comprehensive early permanence framework has been developed in Wales, which includes details of what needs to happen at each stage, from care planning and referral, matching in placement and all possible outcomes. That framework includes a series of All Wales templates and written and recorded information for applicants, for practitioners and for parents, and they're all available on the NAS website, so have a little look at those when you get a chance. If you are thinking about Welsh Early Permanence for a child or children you are care planning for, get in touch with your adoption team as early as possible or contact the WEP project worker. They'd be really happy to talk things through with you and help you decide whether WEP might be a good option for them. Adoption is not the right permanence option for all children, but for some it is. This is not about social engineering or a competition between who can provide the best care for the child, but a proper analysis about what their needs are and who will be able to meet these needs, not just now, but throughout their life. So for a young child, essentially, you are looking upwards of 80 years, aren't you? One of the key barriers social workers perceive in considering adoption for a child is how this will negatively impact on them maintaining links with their birth family. But this view is not accurate nor up to date. Modern adoption practice in Wales supports and follows the wide research-based and evidence-based understanding of the importance for children having a coherent narrative and continuity in their relationships that support their identity development. And maintaining links with birth family, if it's safe to do so, obviously, is part of that. And the courts have a lot to say about how evidence needs to be presented to enable them to reach a decision about the child's final care plan. It's been 10 years since the two big cases, ReBS, came to the Supreme Court and actually changed the adoption landscape and practitioner thinking. It has always been and still is the case that reunification and placement with wider family are rightly considered. And if either of these meet the child's needs now and in the future, these will be the right care plan for the child. However, the terms nothing else will do and last resort used in the ReBS cases in relation to adoption led practitioners to believe that the bar to consider adoption was so high that it could hardly ever be reached. And this affected care planning and saw a number of placement order applications significantly drop. Reunification, placement with family, is right for some children and will meet their needs, but for some it won't. And for some children, adoption is the only option that will meet all their needs. So subsequent judgments and speeches from 2014 onwards, including a speech by Lord Justice McFarlane in 2016, sought to clarify this, i.e. that ReBS does not alter the legal test for adoption. What they reiterated was that social workers and guardians should examine their standards of analysis and how evidence should be presented to the court, with a clear focus on welfare, necessity and proportionality. So the starting point for all decisions about a child must be that the child's welfare is the paramount consideration and at the centre of the decision-making process. If adoption is the plan, the social worker analysis must show that the needs of the child for permanence and stability within an adoptive family outweigh all the positive elements identified as being available in the birth or wider family. That balance sheet exercise that the judges talk about, that only adoption will do for this child. Now, social workers are not expected to list all available options, but only the relevant ones for that child. It may be only maybe 2 or 3 options are realistic possible permanence options, and there's only those that need to be considered. It's really important for the courts, but also for the parents and for the child as they get older, to understand why one placement option has been identified. And again, for us to be able to justify the decisions we have made for the child and to the child. The decision needs to be one of necessity in order to meet their needs in the immediate and long term, and proportionate, that any action taken is proportionate to the circumstances. And this proportionality is already built into the Children Act 1989 and the Adoption and Children Act 2002. When we are looking at care planning, We should always start and end with the child and provide an analysis of the child's physical and emotional and cognitive development and needs, an analysis of their existing relationships and their attachments, an analysis of their needs arising from harm already experienced or likely to be experienced going forward. The child's needs should be set out in detail. So writing something like a child needs a safe, stable and nurturing environment is not sufficient in order to prove to the court that only adoption will do. The needs need a detailed analysis. So on this slide, I've just put some information down about what I mean by that. Okay, so thinking about Emily now and what she needs now, but also what she needs in 5 years' time in adolescence and into adulthood. And I'll just give you some time to have a little look at that information. And then thinking about who are the realistic options. Can they do all these things across Emily's lifetime? Can they provide that stability and support? Can they accept and promote relationships that are important to Emily and that will enable her to develop that coherent narrative and positive identity? Can they provide this into Emily's adulthood? Your evaluation should not be a linear process. So it shouldn't be about dismissing one option and then moving on to the next until only adoption is left. But it must be a real analysis of the pros and cons of each relevant and potentially realistic option. That balance sheet approach I mentioned. That requires entries on each side of the balance sheet, followed by the potential of each option, the potential gains and losses, and the potential impact of them. Although we're not expected to list them all, we do need to consider them all. So we need to be considering reunification with parents. We need to be considering placement with kinship foster carers, an SGO, long-term fostering, adoption, thinking about the child's needs across their life and for their lifetime, all their needs, and breaking it down like I did with Emily. So in that balance sheet, we need to consider what is the most important. Do they need to remain within their family? If they can't live with their birth family, is there a primary sense of belonging with them? And do they need to maintain close relationships or have very high levels of contact with them, which goes beyond even what modern keeping in touch adoption arrangements can provide? Does this primary sense of belonging outweigh the possible insecurities of long-term fostering? If this is the case, long-term fostering would be a valuable option, but we do need to bear in mind the limitation this offers in terms of permanence, especially in the current climate. Or does this child need to move to a permanent alternative family, whilst needing continuity in their relationships and sense of identity? This can be achieved well in an adoptive family, where the primary sense of belonging will then be secured with them. It essentially comes down to who needs to hold PR for the child's lifetime. Who is the primary focus for that child? Who can provide that sense of belonging alongside that safety and security and environment to thrive? And it is important for the courts and the parents and the child, as I said, to understand why one particular option has been identified. The statement to the court must include an analysis of each option having been carefully considered, with positives and negatives balanced in a way that puts the child's welfare right at the centre of the decision-making process. And we look in more detail about how we apply these core principles in our webinars that we'll be delivering in autumn 2023. So this case law from 2014 sets out a really useful 5-point exercise about what needs to be covered when making an application and deciding whether to make a placement order. And as I've said, this is not about competition between who can provide the best care for the child, or about us as practitioners expressing a preference either way, but it's about getting it right for the child, for now and for their future. So how does the court make a decision that a child should be adopted? In the first instance, obviously threshold criteria needs to be met, as outlined in section 31(2) of the Children Act. The local authority needs to demonstrate that neither reunification nor placement with wider family can meet the child's immediate and long-term needs. And we look at the Section 1 principles of the Children Act and Adoption and Children Act for that. As we've said, choosing the right kind of permanence for a child relies on a sound understanding of their needs. It also relies on that analysis about which will be the right kind of parenting to meet these needs and aid their recovery from trauma in the future. And this is the crux of the matter. How do we best support the child now and beyond their childhood to be happy and fulfilled, to be active participants in society and their relationship with others, to have hope for their future and for their own children? The court makes a placement order under the Adoption and Children Act if it agrees with the local authority should be placed for adoption decision, and that adoption is the only valid option that will meet the immediate and lifelong needs of the child. Now, what about brothers and sisters? Acknowledging the interests of all members of the sibling group can be challenging, and judges have described decisions concerning siblings as some of the most difficult, and in some cases have held that more weight should be placed on these relationships, these sibling relationships. So very likely, we know that children in care will have brothers and sisters, and very likely they will come from a larger sibling group. We know that 2/3 of siblings live apart from their biological siblings, those brothers and sisters who share one or both birth parents, and 2/5 of them are living apart from all of them. Now in Wales over the last 5 years, only 26% of children were placed for adoption with their siblings. And though I don't have the further breakdown of how many of these were whole sibling groups, but we do know from the Wales cohort study from 2019 that 4 years post-placement, half of brothers and sisters living apart from birth siblings were not in contact with each other. So as practitioners, we need to be thinking about who the siblings are. Some are harder to see, especially if not part of the child's current household, or are half siblings on paternal side, for example. But relationships which children consider to be important will always be relevant in ascertaining the child's best interests. So working with a child to complete maybe a genogram can provide a valuable opportunity to find out who they see as their brothers and sisters, the language they use to refer to them, what their relationship is with them. And that can help us plan to keep those relationships live as they move forward. Obviously, decisions to place brothers and sisters together or apart are influenced by an assessment, a thorough assessment of their relationships, but also by other factors as well. Obviously, the timing of each child's entry into care relative to each other, maybe the sibling group size or the placement type. And we always need to make sure that these assessments are as robust as they possibly can be. We are thinking more about direct contact across the board now than we have done previously, and we know from Beth Neal's research that for a child who's been adopted, they are more likely to have direct contact with their brothers and sisters than other relatives, especially when their siblings have also been adopted. And as I said earlier, adoption agencies in Wales are actively recruiting prospective adopters for brothers and sisters. They are training and assessing and supporting them to understand what that means and how they might be able to offer a permanent home to them. And so when you are analysing potential permanence options, which can keep siblings together or in close contact, adoption is a valid option within this for these children. So let's think about your role as a children's social worker in permanency planning when adoption might be an option. You'll have been supporting the family with a Part 4 care and support plan and possibly then a child and support protection plan. You'll be regularly reviewing the child's circumstances, and when you are concerned the plans are not working, the circumstances are not improving, you need to take action and start thinking about long-term planning for the child. And this is where the legal planning meeting is held to see whether threshold is met and whether there is need to start the PLO pre-proceedings process. Now, the purpose of the PLO pre-proceedings process is not purely one of assessment, where the local authority is thinking about making an application to court and where robust work done at this stage will hopefully avoid unnecessary delay and uncertainty later on in the process. It should also represent a genuine opportunity to work closely with families by offering help and support to address their needs and to negate the need to issue care proceedings. The earlier approach of the local authority enables decisions to be made in a timely way, with plans based on a real understanding of the needs of the child and the capacity of the family to meet those needs. This pre-proceedings process should identify whether proceedings are required, and if so, enable the case to be presented effectively. It's very much about front-loading of the work that you do. And it is important that this pre-proceedings protocol is initiated early enough to give families the opportunity to be supported to address the harm identified, particularly as the legal planning or legal gateway meeting will be for many parents the first time they'll be able to access legal advice. At this point, if we haven't already done so, we'll be looking at having some kind of family group meeting to bring people together to identify realistic options for permanence, to gather really crucial information, and also to identify support for parents. It is also an opportunity for you to be open with the parents about possible outcomes, including the possibility of adoption. Whatever the final care plan for the child, we know how critical it is to make sure that we capture information we need early on about people who are important to the child. So again, particularly thinking about siblings and grandparents and foster carers maybe, and also about capturing those rich bits of information that often get lost, but which are so important in helping a child understand. So getting a good map of the child's important connections as soon as possible when a child comes to the attention of children's services is critical. It's at this point where you are likely to find this easiest to do that, rather than later down the line when things will definitely become more pressured and maybe antagonistic. And we can actively start to plan and promote and protect these important relationships from this early point in our thinking and in our planning. But also for children, that information that we gather is so important for their life journey work, isn't it? To help them understand their stories. So it's not just for care planning. You will be identifying adoption as a possible care plan at the start of proceedings. And if there is a high possibility of adoption, you will be considering a Welsh Early Permanence referral, as I said. You absolutely will need to be open and honest with parents from the start that this is being considered, and there is written and recorded information in the WEP framework that you can share with parents to help them understand. So the case management hearing by day 12 after initiating proceedings, and parents are required to identify any family members for assessment, or at least within a week of this hearing. Although, obviously opportunities to come together and seek solutions should have occurred at a much earlier stage at pre-proceedings. So at this point, you'll be preparing and timetabling the completion and filing of the Car B report, scheduling an adoption medical for the child, and ensuring that the ADM has sufficient information to make a should-be-placed decision if they feel this is appropriate. Usually there's no other hearing after the case management hearing unless there's extenuating circumstances or there's complicated evidence. The next hearing will be the issues resolutions hearing, which will be no later than 20 weeks from the date of application. So at the issues resolutions hearing or the final hearing by week 26, the court is required to evaluate and decide on whether threshold criteria has been satisfied. If so, what are the permanence options of the care plan? What are the contact arrangements for the child? And they'll be applying the paramountcy principles, the welfare checklist and Article 8 in deciding what final orders should be made. Now, if you're making an application for a placement order, you do need to be using the Adoption and Children Act 2002 checklist, which has the additional elements about the lifetime of the child. The Children Act checklist is used for making care orders. What is right for the child? You're always thinking about this. And if this is adoption, how do you demonstrate that only adoption will do for this child in the Car B and the final care plan? How you apply the balance sheet approach and show your workings out. So what is the Car B report and what are its functions? Well, the court cannot make a placement order until the ADM, the agency decision maker, makes a decision that a child should be placed for adoption. And they make this decision based on information contained within the child's adoption report, the CAR. When a local authority applies for a placement order, i.e. authority to place for adoption, they have to file an Annex B report. So those two functions come together in that Car B report in Wales. We know from practice that often the ADM decision is very close to the submission date for final evidence in court, so timescales are often really tight and there's lots of things happening together. These tight timescales create a lot of pressure for you as social workers, especially when there's uncertainty maybe regarding an assessment outcome. And even the most experienced practitioners will say that this time pressure and the amount of research and time that goes into these huge pieces of work often make this a really challenging and stressful time. So early preparation and front-loading work that we spoke about earlier will help, as well as really good planning. Knowing what you need to do by when will help you ensure that you can submit work to the required standard for making such a crucial decision for the child. But the Car B has other very important functions that go far beyond care and placement order proceedings. And this is why it's so important to think about how we write the report, what we put in it, and whether it is accurate and up to date. This is a live document that needs to be updated right up until adoption matching. And what are its other functions? Well, the Car B is used to enable the ADM, as I said, in making they should be placed adoption decisions and to enable the court to make a decision about whether to make a placement order. It provides a record of really essential information for the adoption agency and for the prospective adopters during matching, and enables adoption panels to make recommendations regarding matching of a child with prospective adopters. After the match, the Car B report will be a key source of important information about the child's background, about their heritage, once they've been placed with adopters. It will form the foundation upon which their life journey materials are developed. It provides a key record for the child about why they were adopted, which will be shared with them age appropriately as they mature. And as an adult, this will be one of the main sources of information they will have to help them understand their early life. So, a report for multiple audiences, for multiple uses, and that's a real challenge for you as a practitioner. But essentially, what you always need to bear in mind is that the adopted person that you are writing about will very likely read what you have written about them and their life one day. So bear this in mind when you're writing. So what do you need to think about when you're doing your Car B? Well, you need to have the correct version for a start, and the 2023 version is the most up-to-date that we're using in Wales, so make sure you have access to this. You need to have a blank copy, and I know it's useful to view a completed Car B, but writing over a document can often lead to breaches in confidentiality, or maybe the incorrect information being recorded or inaccurately shared. So always use that blank copy. It is essential that information in the Car B is accurate. It needs to contain information from a range of people, from maybe health professionals, from education, social care, maybe previous foster carers and the guardian, information from birth parents or wider family members like grandparents and siblings, maybe information from the child themselves where they're able to provide that, and any other significant people in the child's life, maybe people that the child has lived with or those wanting to be assessed as potential carers. It should include photos of the child, of birth parents, of siblings and other important people to them. And when you're completing the PAR, there will be a number of supporting evidence documents that will need to accompany it from the ADM pack. These documents will evidence what other options have been considered and why adoption is in the best interest of the child. So what might this supporting evidence be? Well, it might be viability assessments of family members put forward as potential carers, or evidence of, maybe withdrawal from viability assessments, maybe a letter from family members, emails or recordings from the fostering team. It might be specialist assessments that might include specialist social work assessments or psychological assessments, a PAM sibling assessment, might include drug and alcohol testing, will include birth parent counselling report and the child's adoption medical. So quite a bundle really. So I mentioned the 4 good practice guides earlier. How can these help with your decision making and your practice? Now these good practice guides are about the adoption process, but they are relevant. The key principles within them are relevant across the permanency sector, and hopefully they're already playing a part in achieving consistency across Wales, as well as ensuring that we are as responsive as we can be in bringing adoption up to date, and a system that is fit for purpose, that acknowledges the complexities and challenges and respects children's multiple relationships and identities. These guides will hopefully help you understand what needs to happen at each stage if adoption is the plan for the child. There's very much a trauma-informed approach at the heart of all the guides and the practice applications that we've developed. A trauma-informed approach that helps us better understand the impact of early experiences on a child and identify the immediate and predicted needs for them and their new family. We know, as I said earlier, that birth parents are often living with the consequences of the same childhood trauma recognised by adopted parents in their children, alongside complicating factors. So that trauma-informed approach that takes account of the parent's own early trauma alongside the lifelong distress that inevitably follows the removal or relinquishment of a child will help us better understand barriers of engagement and identify the right support for them as well. They are an important part of that adoption triangle. There's very much a focus on collaborative working and relationships. So including relationships between the regional adoption teams and the childcare teams, about adoption teams being available for advice and support on adoption planning from an early stage, about collaboration between foster carers and adopters, about relationships developing between birth family and adopted parents. That importance of relationships, they're a golden thread, particularly for children. And there's a focus also in all the guides on early identification and intervention. Whether or not adoption is the plan for the child, we know how critical this is, as well as making sure we capture the information that we need about people who are important, about capturing those rich bits of information that sometimes get lost. So have a little look at those guides when you get a chance. Thank you for listening, and please keep an eye out for the webinars I mentioned that are coming up in autumn 2023.